Fullmetal Alchemist is directed by Fumihiko Sori, and it's the live-action adaptation of one of the most beloved animes of all time. 9 out of 10 anime fans, you ask them if they love Fullmetal Alchemist, they'll say yes, including yours truly. It tells the story of two brothers, Al and Ed, who are in search of the Philosopher's Stone to correct a wrong they made in the past while trying to revive their dead mother with alchemy. They are, as this movie starts, full-fledged members of the military and known as the Fullmetal Alchemist. So much so that people around the world confuse Al as a Fullmetal Alchemist because he has a full metal body, instead of Ed, who they really don't take seriously because he is very tiny, and the movie pokes a lot of fun of that, as we anime fans will recognize. When I go into these movies, I don't expect them to be faithful, be it adaptations of anime, or of comic books, or of books. Things will change, and I expect it, and I don't mind that whatsoever. Are the changes necessary? Are the changes made to elevate this material and to make it stand on its own? This movie wisely changes some of the aspects of the anime to make it work as one single movie. There are motivations for certain characters in this film that do make it stand out alone. However, when it all comes together, it's all very surfacey. It is all very superficial in what it explores about this world. But in bringing this world to life of Fullmetal Alchemist, the locations and the costumes and certain scenes that we see in the anime, they did a brilliant job. This movie really inserts you into the world of Fullmetal Alchemist. It is seamless how it is transported from the anime to the live action. Their house, the towns they visit, certain action sequences, and the clothes they use, it is all very well done. I do have to commend the filmmakers for that aspect. There's also one particular character in this film that I really enjoyed how they brought him to life, and that is God. I will just say that. The sequences for that part of the story and what it gives to the characters was very well done. It was creepy, eerie. I didn't feel at ease when those scenes were happening. It was brought to life again beautifully. Many of the scenes from the anime that are brought to life in this live action film are extremely well done and satisfying. As well as some of the characters. Mustang is by far the best character in this film. He is everything he is in the anime. He stands out because he is the most compelling character. He is the character you understand the motivations of most. He's a character who has the biggest driving force behind his actions throughout the film, and he has a huge bond with Mei Hughes, who we know from the anime. Al and Ed are both incredible. The acting all around is very good, including these two, and they really did a great job at bringing Al to life. His innocence, his vulnerability, his fragile nature is very, very well done, and he alone stands as a very compelling character as well. But I do have a problem with these two, and I'll mention it in a bit. The homunculi are present, but they are not a big presence in the film. They show up when they're necessary to give some exposition and to make some key scenes happen, because they are inserted in the plot of this film, but they don't really have that big of an impact, unfortunately. And now I have to go into my negatives, because Mustang, as I said, is the most compelling character, but Ed and Al, their relationship in this film, their bond, their struggle, is very thinly explored. Al is a compelling character, but when it comes to these two, and what they have to go through together, what they have gone through together until the point where this movie starts, and when this movie ends going forward, there's barely anything to grab onto. There are scenes with Al and Winry. There are scenes with Ed and Winry, and they both share great, compelling relationships with Winry, but not to each other, to the point where they are arguing at some point in this film, and I barely felt anything. What I did feel was because I watched the anime. And that anime, when it comes to these two brothers, is some of the most heart-wrenching storytelling ever. I also have to mention the villains without spoiling anything, whether you've seen the anime or not. They are very thin as well. They are here because it feels like they need to be here, because it feels like the film needs an antagonist to make sense, as well as one of the villains specifically. They change his motivation in this film. And when it comes to his motivation, it's all fine if they want to change it, but once you find out his plan, you start thinking, okay, so if you do accomplish this plan, what then? Scar isn't in this film. There's no exploration of the past in this film, of the war that happened. There's barely any allusions to it. People mention it twice in the film, I think, and you don't really feel compelled by that because it doesn't integrate into the structure of the film, and that's the biggest flaw. It's the structure. This film feels very narratively broken. It feels like there are key scenes, key characters, key moments from the anime that they brought to life very well, including May Hughes, including Tucker, including the scene from Fullmetal Alchemist. Nisa. That one. But as far as the story flowing throughout this film, as I said before, without Mustang, you barely have any compelling reason to root and like any of these characters. Lisa Hawkeye is barely in the movie. Armstrong is not in the movie. There are key elements that if I wanted to change, I was fine with it. And I have to say, I did have a good time watching this film despite being a little bit too long. But with taking out certain elements, certain characters, certain meanings to this film, it takes a lot out of it as far as standing on its own. It does stand on its own, but what it lacks is depth. There's nothing in this film to explore beyond, and there's nothing really to look forward to the future of this film possibly. If you are a fan of the original anime, I'll say give it a watch. There is certainly a lot for you to enjoy. If you never had any interest in watching the anime, however, this film will not convince you otherwise. Fullmetal Alchemist is a very good attempt at something, both in adaptation and in doing something different with the material that you are given. There's good acting, there are good effects, there are good sequences, and there are scenes that are brought to life very well. The structure is very weak, and because of that, I will say that whether you watch this movie or not, your heart will go on. But it is a fine adaptation. It's one of the best that we've seen from mainstream beloved anime, whether it is American adaptation or not. But what did you think of Fullmetal Alchemist, my beautiful geekies? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Are you a fan of the original anime? Let me know your thoughts on all that in the comments below. And this week I have reviews for 12 Strong and Red Sparrow, and next Sunday my review of Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Can't wait to bring you all of those. And so until then, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so you can be geeky united!